Overconfidence is a slow and insidious killer, as we all know very well, but I have yet to be a killer. I was a minor killer. I landed on the moon twice. Landed, but I did do it. And not only that, I managed to rescue someone from orbit in what is the most stressful, painful experience ever. And again, if you're not clear, if you're just catching us now, this has been a full blind playthrough without I haven't used any tutorials. I've done some of the training sessions after we learned how to do it in the rough way, but generally speaking, we're going along without learning anything, and we got much better. I started taking notes. I had to write down some values. I've got newer engines. I figured out how to do science, so we're upgrading stuff. So everything is very cool. And my goal of the last playthrough, the last stream, was to rescue somebody and land on the moon. So I can get all the science and stuff from there. That was the plan. I started off with the rescue. I want to talk about this rescue because this is one of those things that the game is really trying to help you not struggle with. And I kind of figured it out as I was doing it. I decided to go for Gimpy, as Gimpy is not one of my pilots that I have recruited and stranded in space. He was actually provided to us by a mission on the mission board. So this was just a dude who was lost in space. So that seemed like a good guinea pig for this process. And the logic of it, after playing for so long, the logic of what we needed to do totally made sense, right? Match the orbit, be either retrograde or prograde, so either he's catching up to us or we're catching up to him. I have decided after this process, it is infinitely easier, in my opinion, to let him catch up to us, other than because their orbits are so low. At least Gimpy's was. Gimpy's orbit was at like 75k, and the atmosphere is at 70. It just left me so little room to be on the inside path trying to catch him. It was horrible. So, future, we will always have a larger orbit and let them catch up to us, and then we'll descend into their orbit. But again, the logic makes sense. Match their orbit, go at a different speed, get it pretty close, and then adjust in so we match. That's it, right? So we'll be on the outside. That's a larger orbit. It's a sphere. And then we'll drop down into it and we should match. That makes total sense. And the game, absolutely, because you can target who you're trying to rendezvous with. The game is trying to help you because these markers appear. And it says, like, target location at Junction 1. And then somewhere else it will say Junction 1. So what it's telling you is, like, Junction 1 is where your orbits will overlap. So that's where you'll be at the exact same spot. But then somewhere else on the orbit, it says the target is going to be here when that happens, right? So Junction 1 is where you overlap, and target location in Junction 1 is where they are. And the goal is pretty goddamn obvious. Those two should be the same. So that this is your intersect, and that's where they're going to be. That's it. It also provides these like purple markers on the nav bar, which are like a retrograde and prograde icon, but purple. And I don't know what you do with them. They're definitely there to help you. I didn't know, so I eyeballed it. I didn't know, so I eyeballed it. I eyeballed it. I did do pretty well. I got it. I after a lot of adjustment. I think we orbited something like 50 times, something like that. I kept going slightly too far, slightly too low, and then obviously because the orbits change and at some point they overtake you and things like that, is it kept resetting, and I was like, oh my god, this is killing my soul. I kept having to catch back up, slow back down, blah blah blah. But eventually I did get it, so I think we were 1,000 meters apart, which I can run that in like a couple of minutes. So I was like, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. We've got jet thrusters. I will admit, beyond how I usually do things, I save scummed this. Because I was really unsure of how this happened. I'm glad I did. So when we got really close, I think it was 700 meters. I think that's where we got down to, 700 meters. And threw Gimpy out of his ship. Now then came the newer problem. I could not find my ship for love nor money. I was looking all over the screen. And there is an icon for it, like, but it's tiny and weird. Probably because I'm too far away, right? Obviously, and so And then you have to deal with the fact that that thing is going quite fast relative to what you're going. And also, like, on a slightly different orbit. So it was awkward. I ran out of fuel and Gimpy was trapped. So I did quick load then. And then I went for it again. This is as close as I could get these things to be. 700 meters in space. It was really hard, but I did do it.
I don't get why the icon disappears. Doing orbital maneuvers like this, not ideal. I have run out of juice. I think we want to be even closer. I can do this. I can do this. I might have fucked Gimpy, but...
Okay. Okay. Let's try this again.
Can you, ladies and gentlemen, we got him. Oh!
But Gimpy saved! Onwards to the next objective, ladies and gentlemen, which is to land on the moon. Now, I don't really get how this is supposed to work yet with the tools I have, but, I mean, certain things make logical sense, right? We're going to need a command pod. We're going to need a lander can. We're landing. We're going to need legs. And we're going to need fuel to slow down. So I thought about it logically. Like, how would this work in an environment with no atmosphere? We're going to have to obviously orbit the moon, for sure. Then, because there's no atmosphere that's naturally, like, slowing us down, we're going to have to slow our, like, horizontal speed so that we're eventually falling straight down, and then gently land. Pretty good. Became very, very apparent and apparently this had been a meme for a couple of days, is what Chris told me afterwards. The moon is not smooth, and that's not something you care about in KSP at all in any way, shape, or form until you're actually trying to do a landing. I was flying over, I was like on a very close orbit of the moon, like 10,000 meters up, and I'm looking at the planet, and it's very clear it's rocky and hilly, and it's not good. It's like all bad. It's very, very mountainous. So I spotted a crater which seemed to have some smooth parts in it. I'm like, I think this is so much worse than what I thought about. Like, I had a general idea of what I was going to do, but now it became so much worse. It's like, I actually have to consider, for the first time ever in this game, where am I going to land? I've never had to do that when going back to Kerbin. As long as I get back to Kerbin and deploy the parachutes, it doesn't matter if I land on a mountain, it doesn't matter if I land in the sea, it's not a thing. Now it's a thing, because I need to land flat, otherwise it's just going to go tits up. So, I really was, like, looking at it, and I saw this crater, and I was like, okay, it looks pretty smooth in there, and we're not going fast around the moon. It was like 300 meters per second, so I was like, we're not going pretty fast, so I think I can, like, get into there, pretty much. So I lined it up, overshot it a little bit because obviously we're going a certain amount of speed and I'm going to slow it down, so it's going to like pull us back on the trajectory. So I was like, okay, aim a little bit past it, guesswork, but something like that, and then go for it. I think, honestly, for my first attempt, this was not bad. Really not bad. There are definitely functions in the game that I didn't know about, like you could until the last minute, actually, because I was looking at my descent, and the meter said I still had like 3,000 meters to go. That was blatantly untrue, like from what I'm visually seeing. Then I realized that was sea level and not ground level, and you can change that. I was like, oh, I'm actually like 1,000 meters off. Fuck, we're about to die. And also how to track the speed, because there's two again. There's like orbital speed, and then there's which you can track to go the exact opposite way with retrograde. But then there's also your speed compared to the ground, which is, you want both of those, right? You want to get one to 0 and then the other one to 0 afterwards. So I got it pretty close, is what I would say. It was drifting ever so slightly. I got it pretty close and it tipped over. But I think that's partly to do with the shape of the lander I made. Like if I see, you know, I've seen the moon landing. Oh, what they say is the moon landing. I've seen the moon landing, and the landers are usually like pretty wide and not long. Mine was very long, but I wasn't sure how much fuel I'd need. I never expected to take off again. That was definitely not a thing. So it landed and then tipped over. It almost went straight back up because there's no atmosphere. You can kind of like push the ship around fine. So I tried to like wedge my Kerbal underneath it and jump to push it back up to stand up. It didn't matter, ultimately. I got to do all the signs and collect surface samples and things like that. And then I realized there's another function of the game that I was totally unaware of, and that is line to sight. And I'm aware of line to sight. And like, if you're not sure what I mean, is if in order to send a signal, because I couldn't get this guy to take off again, that was never part of the plan, you need to be able to see where you're sending it, because that signal's going to go out in a straight line. And I was on the wrong side of the moon. I landed on the light side so I could see what I was landing on, and that happened to be the wrong side of the moon. Just so happens that was facing the sun at the time, and I was like, I have all this data. I have so much science. I mean, hundreds of science, and I couldn't send it back, which was really bad because there's nothing to do. So the solution was obvious. Drag race across the moon with the remaining fuel in my ship to try and get to the other side of the moon. I'm not joking. That's what I tried to do. It was the only way I could do anything, right, at that point. I did plant the flag, which was great. So I roller skated across the moon. Downhills were really cool because I could slide down. But yeah, there's no way. Like, relatively speaking, you honestly, after playing Kerbal, you consider these like planets to be quite small because you can get around them quite easily with orbit. But when you're down there, they're much bigger. So I like went gliding across the moon's surface, checked the map, and I'd gone barely anywhere. This was not going to work. And then ultimately the ship exploded because I actually thought of doing a skate trick. What else did I have to lose at this point? So there was a slope coming up to me. an inclined slope. So I was like, if I send everything I've got, I might be able to ramp off the slope back into orbit. We won't have any fuel, but if I'm out there, I might be able to send the signal just to get the science back. That was my only hope at this point, because I just wanted the resources. The human life and suffering was secondary to getting the science points to upgrade my stuff. It didn't work. So, round two. Now with added knowledge of land on the correct side of the moon. Dumbass. And I did it. I actually tried to do something 2 birds, 1 stone here, as I had a tourist who his objective was to fly by the moon. And I had done other things with him. I had taken him on his other flights before. So I was hoping that by taking him along, then he would complete the quest for me and give me a bunch of money and science as well. Turns out you have to land with him again. But I did land on the moon again. I once again did not get it perfect. It was close, but I think actually the shape of my lander is really not helping because it's so long. So I need to fix that. But I did manage to land on the moon again in the right place. Sent back all the science. Awesome. Got massive upgrades from that. But it became very apparent at this point. This is going to have a twist ending, I think. Is that I can fly around space pretty well now. Like, not bad. And what is our next objective? So there's another moon. Dimmus? Something like that. There's another moon in orbit around Kerbin. So easy science for me at this point is to just fly out there, orbit it, collect a bunch of science, and fly back. Nice and simple. It should be really good. And it was. It was really good. I got all the way out there. Took me a while to figure out how to actually line it up because its orbit is so wide that you actually kind of aim straight at it. So that's been fun. It's like, figuring out, like, you have to consider, it's like, okay, you're trying to predict where this moon will be by the time you get there. So the moon, the actual moon, is very close to us, so which means it's orbiting quickly. So you kind of aim like a quarter away around the circle. But this one's so far out, it's like a 12th. So I was like adjusting it for ages, getting really weird results. And I was like, how do you aim at this? God knows what I do with Duna. And so I was adjusting this thing for a while. I managed to get it. And I'm gonna pat myself on the back now. I've gotten pretty damn good at establishing nice orbits, nice circular orbits. I've gotten pretty good at it. I still haven't quite figured out the burn situation. My theory right now is you do 50% of the burn duration either side of the T-. And also you don't just go full thrust off. You can make little adjustments. And I'm starting to get pretty good at actually getting my maneuver to match what it's supposed to be. Oftentimes and previously my maneuver was like, I'd set up the maneuver, it was perfect, and then at the end of it, after I'd done the burn, it was just like not what I'd have to do another adjustment, which obviously is a massive fail in this game because it's more fuel, so you don't want that. Not getting it right first time is like, that's lame. You don't want that. So I got out to the other moon and did all the research, and I was so excited for how this was going to go. I haven't checked the VOD on this, but Chris is pretty sure. I had staged incorrectly at the very beginning with the decoupler for the final engine, which was blocking the heat shield. I got all the way back to Kerbin and hit the spacebar to detach the engine because we were in a brilliant descent, like nice and gentle. And thank God, I had so much fuel left by the time I got back to Kerbin that I was like, I'm not just going to throw it away. I'm just going to give us a nice gentle descent because it's really important I get these guys back. And it's been a struggle with larger craft getting them back through the atmosphere without them burning up and stuff. So I was just burning retrograde to take the edge off, try and keep it below like 2,000 meters per second. I'm so nerdy at this game now. Try to keep it low, and then I hit the space, but I was like, we're really good right now. We're at like 1,800. We're at like 40,000 meters. So I'm just going to hit the button and detach, and it did not detach, and I went into a full blind panic. A full panic. Because this thing was going to blow up. Because I still had an engine with fuel attached to me, and it was now starting to burn up. And I was full-blown panic. The gods saw fit that I'd actually used that fuel to slow down so much that it actually just barely was gaining heat coming through the atmosphere. And I put 3 parachutes on it because it was going to be so heavy anyway that it just gently drifted to the floor. And ladies and gentlemen, in a new record, I think it was 511 science I came back with on this one quick mission. One of the quickest missions I've done all day. Rescuing Gimpy was about an hour and a half. This was maybe 30 minutes of just going out and coming back. And unlocked so much stuff. So I focused my attention on getting nuclear engines. Because I don't care how nerdy this game makes me. I don't care how gentle and tender I have to be with these things, which is absolutely the opposite of my existence as a human being on this planet. I still am me. And me wants nukes. Because nuke go boom. And I want that. So that's what my target is. Despite the fact that from a practical standpoint, I should have got other things. I don't care. I want nukes. So I'm getting nukes. But that leads to what I said at the end of the stream. It's like, I'm pretty sure I can land on Duna now. Probably. And that's the end of the challenge. That was the goal. Until I was swiftly reminded the challenge is to land and return. That's infinitely harder. I have no idea how I do that. Like, legitimately. I'm not saying this for dramatic effect. I do not know how I do that. There's no way, especially if Duna's got an atmosphere, that I can maybe get there with enough fuel to get there, land safely, and then take off again and get home. I don't know. People are really having fun with this, though. They're like, you need to build a moon base, you need to build cars, planes, all this kind of stuff. I'll probably look at that later. All I know is right now, I'm going to use the moon as my test bed for taking back off and getting back up to space. That's what I'm going to do. I think that's my next plan, is not to bother going miles and miles away. I need to get to the moon, land, and get home again. No clue how I'm going to do this, like, at all, in any way, shape, or form. But I'm going to try. I'm going to try. It's doable. I know that. I'm also never rescuing anybody again. Fuck them all. So, I hope the next time we speak to each other, I will have figured this out. No idea. I've got theories, but I don't know. I'll see you next time. Bye, guys.